I'm Dr. Michelle Peticolas, and today the topic is love. The topic is having love risk-free. Now, I don't know if there's anything such as risk-free love, but I do know that there are ways to increase your odds. I want to be totally honest with you. I'm inviting you to sign up for my 5-day makeover challenge. Yes, I know, some of you have already done it, right? You're in my group, you've already done it. But I'm guessing that you didn't really do it. You consumed it. You listened, but did you really do the worksheets? Did you really take the actions? Because I'm guessing that if you really did that, some stuff came up, some resistance. And I invited you to have a conversation with me where I could go over your worksheet. But you didn't do that, did you? Why? Because you probably didn't do the worksheet. And I understand. It is scary to take that step. Now, some of you have not done the Makeover Challenge. This is an opportunity to do it. And the link is in the comments section. Before I begin, first, stay on the call, even though you think you already know everything. I invite you to do the Makeover Challenge again, if you have done it, with love in mind. I don't know if there's anybody who is completely risk-free in love. It takes risk, and I'm going to share a little bit of my own story. Only I'm a little hesitant because this is pretty raw and pretty new. It's about showing up as yourself and being willing to be vulnerable in being yourself and strong. That's what makes true intimacy. That's what makes a relationship really work. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this story. A few weeks ago, I was working on a new website, which, by the way, is where you're going to find the Facebook challenge. It's pretty cool. When I started, I was full of trepidation, insecurity. And so I went ahead and gave a rough stab at it. And I showed it to my husband. He didn't like it. So I took his criticisms and feedback, and I changed it, and I asked him again. He still didn't like it. He was really critical, and I was pretty upset. I swallowed down my pride. I did it again, and I showed it to him again. And he didn't like it, and I was devastated. And I thought, oh, I can't do this. And I went off on a walk in the park to cool down, to not get angry, to not feel worthless, which was what I was feeling at the moment, was that I couldn't do anything, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy, blah, 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 blah. And then it dawned on me, oh, this sounds so familiar. This trying to please him. I mean, he's not even my client. Why am I trying to create a website he would like? He's an artist. So I thought about that for a while, and I said, well, what's going on here? Underneath, I realized that there was a fear of stepping into my power because I might lose him. Why? Because 35 years ago, my first husband left me just as I stepped into my power, just as I achieved my PhD, and as I got a promotion in the company that he had been fired from. He left me for another woman. And although rationally, with my adult mind, I knew that it was a midlife crisis. But emotionally, my inner child was saying, ow, abandonment, betrayal. betrayal. Because at the age of 2, that's exactly how I felt when my dad, who I had loved and adored, was transferred to Japan. And I didn't see him for a number of months. And by the time I saw him again, that special bonding was gone. I'd already bonded with my sister. So here I am with this realization that I'm afraid to step into my power in this particular situation for fear of losing my husband. How many of you out there are afraid of exactly the same thing? That if you step into your true power, that you will lose the relationship, that the guy won't be interested. So what do? Do you play games? Do you play sexy kitten? Do you play helpless? Do you play pleaser, which is what I was doing? Or do you play controller? So basically, I work with 2 kinds of women. The pleasers, like myself, who go out of their way over and over again to try and get it right, try and get it right, try and get it right, instead of standing in your power. The other kind are the controllers, and they have to control other people so that they feel safe. And I understand, look, it's not your fault. No, totally not. You probably had an experience in which it wasn't safe in your childhood, and you developed this pattern to keep you safe, just like the pleaser, but different. What happens, though, when you go out and control, either through financial success or femme fatale or whatever it is, you control the guy, you can only attract certain kinds of guys. You don't attract the one who's going to fully meet you. You're going to attract the ones that need you, that are going to get into a codependency relationship where either you support them or you financially or emotionally, and you never are truly yourself. And they can never win, which is a terrible situation to work in. It certainly does not invite intimacy. It does not invite honesty. And that's what we're talking about here. There are 2 things that work together to create this dynamic, this pattern in your life. One is biology, and the other is biography. So biology is that we as social human beings really desire approval and love. It's wired into our system. And when we're children, that need for affection and attention and nurturing is overwhelming. In fact, babies do not thrive if they don't get that. So that's the biology. We're stuck with that. We have to work against that all the time. That's why speaking is one of the most fearful activities you can be involved in, because you have to put yourself up in front of an audience and trust yourself, trust them, and be able to navigate disagreement. So that's the biology. Now, the biography is your own particular life circumstance. What happened when you were a child? I told you what happened when I was a child. My dad, who I adored, was transferred to Japan. And by the time I saw him again, the relationship had shifted. I was 2 years old, right at that point in time in my life when I was starting to step into my own independence. And it crushed me. And there have been plenty of psychological studies that have shown that those first 3 years of childhood are hugely important, and that what seem like minor incidences can have a huge impact on your life and the way in which you show up. A lot of people are struggling with either the pleaser or the controller dynamic because our parents were not taught how to deal with us. We didn't come with an instruction manual. And so they did the best they could, and they probably had damage from their childhood. I know that my parents did. And our journey is to heal. And the benefits of healing is more success in life, particularly in love. You might be asking, is it safe to show up as you truly are? Won't people take advantage of you? Won't you get rejected? Yes, there is the risk of getting rejected, but in terms of the payoff, it's the only way to have real intimacy, to be able to ask for what you want, to set boundaries, to express your desires. That's the only way, is for you to be yourself, to be comfortable with yourself. And you're not going to be yourself if you don't feel comfortable with yourself. Those patterns that you learn in childhood are very deeply ingrained because you're living in this body, and this body has its own agenda. Its agenda is to keep you alive. And remember, we're social creatures. We need each other. And we feel more comfortable when we get affirmation, when we get approval. We feel safer. Being who you really are is to risk rejection. And that's hard. And that's the work I do. That's the kind of work I do as a psychosomatic, social psychological therapist and analyst. I help support people to heal those early emotional wounds. And any later wounds that you have, they're all connected so that you can really finally claim your true self and step into your power. Oh, right. So I have another story, right? So I became a people pleaser, and I had been working on that particular dynamic for a number of years. I've also been a speaker for many, many years. And I finally was told when I studied speaking that I was not accessible. So I tried different kinds of things for people to feel more safe around me, to feel more invited. What was the problem? I was hiding behind my intelligence. I'm a pretty smart cookie, and I have a lot of training and a lot of experience, and I would give all my beautiful, beautiful ideas to people, but they didn't relate to who I am. And I even was able to share these intimate stories about myself, but still hiding behind my actress self. So you see how we can push people away, or how I pushed people away through my intelligence, so people found it intimidating, or through my acting, and so people didn't quite feel that I was really there, and maybe they didn't know on a knowing level, but on a visceral body level, they knew the difference. And that is true in relationships as well. If you come in real, you are more likely to attract the person that you're really meant to attract. And that's who you want to attract. You want to attract somebody who really loves you for who you are. Now, if you already are in relationship, the good news is that if you begin to be authentic, to be who you really are, to set your boundaries, to stand in your power, they are very likely to go along for the ride because they really do deeply down inside like you. And the problem, the dynamic, the difficulty, like the judgment that I was getting from my husband, have a lot to do with that pattern of pleasing. As soon as I stopped trying to please, there was no problem anymore. He didn't leave me. And your partner isn't going to leave you either. Chances are they won't. So now my question is, are you ready to change? My experience is that you cannot do this alone. Why? Because you are listening to the inner child inside who is terrified of being rejected. Because when you were 2 or 3 years old and you experienced rejection or you experienced a lack of safety, it was truly life-threatening. And so you develop patterns to keep you safe. But that memory, and that's how the biology works, that memory of that rejection is so powerful. And your body has at its disposal such powerful chemicals that you can end up feeling awful if you're rejected. So you don't want to be rejected, and so you resist. So you need somebody to hold the space for you. I recommend a coach. I have worked with many coaches. I have spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on my self-development. I couldn't be where I am now without that support. My husband wasn't giving it to me, and I cannot expect that he would give it to me, because we have this dynamic that he's actually there to help me become stronger, but he isn't going to teach me how to do that. So here's what you need to do. You need to commit. There is a link in the comments section on my 5-day makeover challenge. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead, step up, take the step, and do it seriously and with commitment. Don't just consume it. Don't just watch the videos and say, oh, I'm done. Do the work. And then resistance might come up. In fact, I guarantee that there will be resistance if you really do the challenge. Resistance is fear. Resistance is maybe even doing the challenge. And resistance is making the phone call to me or scheduling the phone call with me to go over your worksheets, to see where your blocks are, and to identify what your next step is. Are you ready to do that? If you want to invite love into your life, if you want true intimacy, you have to do the work. Stop playing the love game. Stop playing the game of being cute, of being beautiful, of being intelligent. Because all of those are temporary. Certainly beautiful is. You age. Now if you are beautiful inside, you are beautiful forever. But beautiful inside is being who you truly are. Finally, I want to point out, in taking the steps that I have invited you to do, it's like dating. You have to go step by step. But if you don't take the next step, if you don't say yes to the next and the next step, you're going to be stuck in that superficial game. Is that what you want to play? I think that's all on my agenda today. I hope you enjoyed this. Come back, and bye for now.